sure I could get up, so.
Well, that's all right. We'll represent you from down the far. I'll do a stand if you're able.
Yeah, but I stand for that flag.
All right.
I already hit the button, I'm sorry.
Are we live?
You're alive.
Well, it sounds like we're beginning our tax hearing, so I'll call the tax hearing to order for the evening. Thank you, Wesley, for starting us a couple minutes early. We'll get going from here. So I need to take a roll call just for the those in attendance here. So if I can have Ms. Michaels do a roll call vote for us, please. Or take attendance by roll call.
So you just start.
That just means you just say their names.
Oh, Harry Carroll.
Present.
Angela Staley.
Present.
Amy Green.
Present.
Jack Lenz.
Aye.
Brad Shepherd.
Here.
Matt Smith.
Here. Brian.
Brian Jacobs.
Yep.
I'm here as well, so thank you all. I'd like to welcome the visitors that are here this evening. We are looking to approve the tax rate agenda, and next I'm going to pause for a couple minutes to allow for public comment to see if anyone wants to address the board or speak on behalf of the tax rate hearing that we'll have this evening. We are looking at a very minor change of a decimal point that I'm not exactly sure. They would probably be upset with me for not knowing that, but it is actually going from 3.8279 to 3.8280 would be the difference in the tax rate. It will actually round and not be anything that the public will actually feel anything at all. So I'll wait for a couple minutes for comment, and then if anyone has any questions or other comments, I'll let Mr. Pettit say a few words.
Do we need to approve the agenda first?
No.
No.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yes, we will
I'm not- you're
look to
correct.
approve the agenda as well. I
make
skipped
the motion.
item 4 that you were reading over there.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
you're
sir.
right, Matt, I'm sorry.
No second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded, and now we'll wait for public comment. Hearing none and seeing no motion, then I will move past the comment. Does anyone on the board have any comment before I move to Mr. Pettit?
Hearing none, I will say it very briefly that very straightforward this year. 2 years ago, prior to going to the public with the levy request, we rolled back a penny voluntarily that year. We could have picked one up according to the Hancock Amendment. We did not do that, and that's the reason for I believe that's 0.1% change here. So we still left 9/10 of that penny from 2 years ago, and that's the reason. Ultimately, though, to the nearest penny, 382 last year, 382 this year. 291 of that's going into Fund 1 for incidental and general, and the remainder of that 91.79 cents is going to capital projects. So that's how we're paying for our construction and various things out of Fund 4. In the years ahead, I would anticipate, no crystal ball here, but I would say next year it wouldn't surprise me to see us be rolling back because of the Hancock Amendment. And that's due to the fact that this was a non-reassessment year. We only reassess in, what are we in, even in odd years we reassess. And so new construction in Marshall was 1.5 million this year. That's up 700 and some odd $1,000. And total current valuation in Saline County, that was up about 2.8 million. But it doesn't affect anything because it's an even numbered year. If we have one more year of increased valuations, even with the economic forecast, I would say we would be rolling back next year is my prediction. So I think we're being really responsible, and that 1/10 of a penny I don't believe is going to affect anyone fundamentally at all. Any questions about any of that?
I'll be seeking a motion to approve the tax rate for fiscal year 25 to be at 3.8280 as detailed in the agenda by fund and which is explained by Mr. Pettit.
So moved. Second.
And I will do this by roll call vote, starting with Mr. Lenz.
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mrs. Oh my gosh. Staley.
Aye.
I was looking at Ms. Green. And
Aye.
Ms. Green. And I would vote aye as well. So The vote passes 7-0, and the tax rate will be set at 3.8280. We will now be adjourning to our regular meeting at 6 p.m. If there is a motion to do so.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I will call the meeting back to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, I'm looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes MSBA annual renewal, free and reduced lunch application, the local compliance plan, our annual SPED requirement, log therapy, RN nursing program supervision, Board of Education paid life insurance, notice of protections, the E-rate contract with CRW for 2025, the district nursing students in Missouri Valley MOU agreement, the E-rate services, notice of protection for Cigna Health Insurance, and the approval of the minutes from the July meeting.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments or revisions to the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstaining or recusing? Moving down to the financials, we had July bills totaling $3,793,182.08, and the financial reports, which were included in your packets as well, which are getting easier to read all the time.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Smith and seconded by Mr. Shepherd. Is there any other discussion? The financials are looking a lot more straightforward and easier for us to go through, so I appreciate that. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Thank you. Next, looking to adopt the agenda for the remainder of the meeting as so printed with no additions or corrections.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Carroll, and I'll recognize Ms. Green for the second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next, we will pause for public comments, of which we've had two that have been brought forward. First, I'll recognize Mrs. Gilpin from the United Way, who wants to speak to us about the Imagination Library.
Good evening, board members, administration, and community members. I am Mary Ann Gilpin, the Executive Director of the United Way. My purpose tonight is to let everyone know about Dolly Parton Imagination Library. Today was an awesome day for the program. It was declared Imagination Library Day in Missouri by Governor Mike Parsons at the Foley Theater in Kansas City, and Dolly herself was in attendance. The local United Way has sponsored the program for 8 years. Last year, the Missouri legislature made this program a line item in the budget. As of November 2023, the state took over the program, so now DESE is in charge of the program. Any child in the state of Missouri can now receive books for free. The program is for children birth to kindergarten. That is 60 books the child could receive. The first book the child receives is The Little Engine That Could, and the last book that the child receives is Kindergarten, Here I Come. So I encourage all of us to sign our children up, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, neighbors, kids, anybody in the state of Missouri. You may go to the website that's imaginationlibrary.com to sign up the kids. So, any questions? Thank you.
No, ma'am,
Thank
thank
you.
you. So
Thank you.
we appreciate you bringing that literacy opportunity to us in the district and also promoting it again. So free books is a great tool that our children can use definitely within the communities. Thank you. Mr. Blakely had a comment as well. He wanted to come and talk to us a little bit about a conversation we had regarding lunch balances and free and reduced lunch from last year.
Before I start, I'd like to say something about the board and the demeanor of the board. This has been a real change to past years. I felt like a snake in the grass coming to board meetings in the past, but I kept coming. I feel welcome to this, and I think we have a great board and great administrators.
Thank you.
Last December, it was announced to the board that we had quite a debt in our food service program. And there was a time that they thought about how to collect that. In January, they discussed that quite a bit. I'm not sure, was not sure, how much debt we still have in our lunch program, but I know now that a good part of that has been reduced. It's carried on through the second semester, and it's turned out a lot less than it was last December. And I think they'll continue to work on that. I want to relate one part of my past. After retiring here at Marshall, I was offered a contract to a small school in north central Marshall, or Missouri. And when I got there, I was filling out the budget forms and so on, and I found that they had a similar problem of charges for the lunch program. And even the superintendent there had $300 that she owed to the district and had vowed that she would not pay that. And so that was turned over to me, and the way I handled it, first we collected the debts that we could. We got our $300 too. And beyond that, I put out in a newsletter to the community that we would not accept charges in the lunch program for the first 2 weeks of the school year, and gave out the applications for free and reduced lunch. And that seemed to solve the problem. I hadn't been in contact with them after I left there. The person I had as a principal, they made him the superintendent. I trained him in the budget building process, and he stayed there for a couple, 3 years, and then moved, and then his principal became superintendent, and I have no idea who's running the district at this time. But the questions I have, I think some of them have been answered, but my biggest interest is, did we contact the people of the community to make them aware of the free lunch program and the reduced lunch program? And if we haven't, then we need to put some things in place so that as charges start appearing, that we can call those folks in and provide them with applications. I was surprised that the income that a family might have and still have free lunch. Now, if a family has one child in school, they can have an annual income of $19,570. And for every child they have, in addition to that, they can add another $6,994 to the income that they might be receiving. So when you go down through this, I've printed a list, and I'll give that to our superintendent this afternoon. The list is, or the graph is bigger than this because it goes by monthly income, annual income, and it's all divided out. And I cut it down just so it had the annual income. And a person can look that up on the internet. It only took about an hour and a half to get a hold of the Department of Education. It seems their phone service has changed. And after I did, I went down through the choices on it, and about the fourth or fifth choice, I was talking to a person in the special education department because no one else was there or would answer the phone. And so she put me in touch with the lady that's in charge partly of the lunch program, and she was out driving her car. But she's really helpful and told me how to get around on the internet and find that. That's how I found this. But a person, the more kids they have, the higher their income can be, and to be free lunch or the reduced lunch. The highest one that they had was for 8 children, and a person could make $68,600 and still have free lunch for the kids. And for the person that was looking at the reduced lunch program, they can have $97,500 income and 8 children and take care of that. And so it'd be hard to believe that there'd be anybody in the district that might charge meals and not know about this, because it's a free thing and it's a good program and it does not dig into the district's funds. And so that, my question would be that if the district, whoever's in charge of the lunch program, would be on top of that, so that if a person comes up with 2 or 3 charges, that they might be called in, made aware of this, because I'm certain that a good part of the bills last year came from them not knowing that there's a free or reduced program. And if they refuse to do that and they have an income that falls within these guidelines, then I think we just have to play a little hardball and they have an alternative meal. Because it's not up to the school district to feed the children. And I know how this board feels. I feel the same way. You don't want a child coming to school and not being able to eat lunch. But there's no reason that the parents shouldn't be involved and given the knowledge that the state does have a program that would help take care of that. And I think we need to be on top of that. We've been in session about 2 weeks, and so there should be a pretty good record as to who all are charging and who's not, and whoever's in charge of that needs to bring them in and make them aware of the form. Because it's not a hard thing and it's never been researched. I can go back a long time in history at another district I was in, and we had to call the people in that applied for the free or reduced lunch and look at their 1040 form. And you can't do that now, and the Department of Education doesn't do that, and there really is no checking on whether a person is eligible or not. Whatever information they give you, that's what you work with. If somebody needs to work with that more, be the Department of Education, but news is they won't work with it either. So I'll give this to your superintendent, and this, I hope he can find it easier on the internet than I could. That's quite a while to do that, but I just think it'd be nice if we just didn't have a deficit this year.
Thank you for your comment, Mr. Blakely. I know that Mr. Pettit's going to get some figures together to get back to you. I can just let you know that, as you said, the board is very committed to feeding kids and making sure the kids weren't going hungry. That was a large part of our conversation when we had that many months ago. So we did do some things at that time, such as sending the social work team out, contacting people that had some of these debts and providing them with the applications I know at that time. And we did substantially increase our free and reduced percentage whenever that was going on. And like you said, information and bringing parents aware. The other problem that kind of brought this to light was that, of course, there was no lunch being charged left over after COVID because of the way COVID worked and the pandemic. One of the good things that came out of it was that lunches were paid for by the federal government. So people that had previously filled out free and reduced lunch did not have to do it anymore. And so we developed bad habits or different habits, at times, and so people hadn't done that. And so making them aware of their options that they had, and actually that they were racking up bills that I believe some of them potentially weren't aware of, or that it wasn't being an issue because children were still being fed and it wasn't an issue. So, but I know that we did do quite a bit with sending the social work team out, principals and other people actually even to doors and to meet with families to discuss that at that time. So, if there's anything else you'd like to add?
I completely agree. That was well said
Thank
on
you
that.
for your concern.
Free and reduced rate doubled, and
Thank you for your concern.
yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, and Mr. Blakely was correct. I think after COVID, there had been such a long time that it was free for everyone. We found that we doubled our qualifying students by an information campaign. So I'll present more next month for sure, and I'll touch base with you between now and then. So thank you, Roger. I won't do any better on the DESE website, though, probably. You can't hear me?
We'll make sure Mr. Pettit speaks up a little bit more when he gives his report. Next, we'll be moving to the superintendent report.
It feels strange to me to stay seated, but I think everybody can hear me better if I don't go stand at the podium, so no disrespect intended. But that podium's a little short for me. So that said, I don't have too lengthy a meeting for you all tonight. I know that it's a lot cooler in here than outside. It might be a night that you're willing to stay in here for a while longer. But I want to just start out. We're back to school. It's our second week in school. It's our second week and second day for preschool students. It's just their second day, so we're fully back to school. And I hope it's fair to say we're on the backside of our hiccups. And I want to talk about just some frequently asked questions, things that have been out there at the start of this school year. And I want to clarify some of that for folks. And I won't be too long, but I do know that there's been a lot of talk about our transportation changes. And I'm sure that our board members have had a lot of talks about that too. And I'll start out by saying we regret that we had to increase our pickup for middle school and high school. But I do want to clarify, we did not increase that pickup radius for elementary. It remains the same this year as it was last year. Now, that doesn't mean if a person moves addresses, et cetera, that something won't change, or if last year they dropped their kids off and they didn't realize that they wouldn't have a bus if they started needing a bus ride. But elementary didn't change, and we're really quite committed. I believe that I could speak for the board and say they are too. We don't want to increase that any more than we have to. It's born out of necessity, for sure. Some other information I know that's come out of some questions and different things brought to me that people wanted to clarify. We do allow more than one stop. We will allow 2 stops. We do not allow infinite stops because it would be chaos. But if you have one drop off in the morning, one drop off in the afternoon, or this week, next week, we absolutely allow for that. We did have a deadline to enroll, and this is an unfortunate reality too. We got an increasing enrollment here at Marshall Public Schools. And if we didn't have a deadline, what I have found with my 2 previous first days of school is that from a great place, Marshall Public Schools has always taken every enrollment right up to the last minute. But sometimes when you're on the eve of the first day of school, 50 new enrollments derail everybody who enrolled on time. And so I've had a lot of parents conversations the last couple of years saying, I did what I was supposed to. Why did we allow those who didn't do what they were supposed to mess it up for the rest of us? And I thought that was a very valid point, because you don't hear most people, but most people follow the rules and do what they need to do as best they can. So this year we had a deadline to enroll for a bus ride by the first week of school. That was true. That didn't mean they never get to ride a bus. We just said as of a certain date, I believe that was the 12th, it has it there. If you don't enroll by the 12th, we're not going to be able to get you a bus ride that first week. In actuality, we kept putting them on the list until the 18th of December. And then we did have to stop so we could try to avoid confusions. And then on the 23rd of August, we resumed again and started updating. That made for an uncomfortable wait period for some folks, but we got a lot of those issues resolved this week. And again, part of that too, the first week of school, everybody starts except preschool. We try to get a lot of those hiccups out of the way before we put those 4-year-olds and 3-year-olds on preschool buses. We didn't need confusion in losing those little ones. And all preschoolers get to ride a bus that want to ride a bus. So those are some things I think that may have been out there, some of it uninformed, unintentional misinformation. I wanted to clarify that. Another transportation change this year would have been our traffic pattern at SPS, Spainhauer. That is a very busy campus. That traffic does now go to the back of the building. So that took a lot of traffic off of the street, which is about 0.8 of a mile, actually. We needed to do that because Lincoln Street was just getting quite congested. And those first 4 days of school, people want to take that first day of school picture in front of the school, et cetera. And we needed to get that traffic off the street for safety. So it now goes to the back of the building. That gets 0.8 of a mile of traffic off the street. When they leave that campus, they do have to go straight, or they have to take a right only in the morning. That's not a one-way or anything permanently, but that's just for organization of all the traffic out there. You've got hundreds of cars, literally, and that line is very long. So on the 4th day of school this year, after things started getting into a pattern, the city police did help us out. I just want to again clarify that wasn't to be mean, but unfortunately we had no more than maybe 10 drivers. The majority of everyone was doing wonderful and being patient and kind. I was out there the first couple of days myself. But we had a few that just didn't understand, I guess, what we needed them to do. We were cutting lines, causing some hazards, slowing the process. So we did ask the police to help us, and they gave some warnings about what we need them to do so nobody gets hurt. And I just want to clarify that wasn't in a mean spirit. None of these changes were, and none of it was to create a hardship. We truly are short on drivers, and we know that next year when that new school opens, we're going to have near 1,000 students there. So we didn't want to wait for double the problems. We thought we needed to start organizing our traffic flow there now. And good news for most students, about 200 more kids will qualify to ride a bus next year when we open that new elementary school. So we were also preparing for the fact that we don't have enough drivers for 200 more students. Creating that radius now, though unfortunate, it's going to help next year start smoother as opposed to complete chaos. So I really appreciate so many people who were really patient with all of that. I appreciate the Board of Education who cares about the community they serve and called and asked some clarifying questions. And 99% of the parents and guardians that I spoke to and the people who said, hey, I know that my oldest child and my youngest child one of them's waiting for 10 minutes alone now because there's 2 buses. But I really appreciate that my kindergartner isn't on the bus with high schoolers and learning lessons that weren't on the curriculum for today. So by majority, you don't always hear the majority, but I've had really great and positive feedback. It wasn't the loudest, but it's been great. And I believe these changes were made with good intentions. So thank you to all of you. Gonna jump real quick unless there's any questions or clarifications while I'm on transportation stuff. I'd be glad to take those if you want to stop me. But hearing none, I will keep going. Our sports and activities this year, of those of us who were able to make it out to meet the Owls night, wow, it was a huge group. I had a lot of people say that's the biggest group they've ever seen. I know my family and I were sitting on the floor. We didn't get there early enough, and it was a standing room only. So Mr. Callanan gave us the numbers. In total, we're up to 327, up from 275 last year, and our football team has 77 students. Speaking of short on drivers and buses, Craig's like, how do you want me to get all these people everywhere? This is going to be a challenge, but that's a good problem. So pretty excited about that. It was neat to see the gym full for Meet the Owls night. I keep doing that. All right, how about other enrollment? And I know you can't read that. I don't expect you to. That's why I gave hard copies to several of you, which if you don't want, I was one short, and I apologize. Whoever's lacking and wants one, I'll give you one later. But the population of our school is up, and I want to thank Ms. Durham, who's probably going to help me with my food service report next month if she's available. She does fantastic graphics. She did these graphics as well. And she worked really hard to get these numbers by this first meeting because it takes a little while to get to these numbers. And they may not be exactly the final numbers. These numbers ebb and flow all year, but our student population is up, and I'm going to jump to something you can see and read. And that is left graphic, bottom line, 2,397 students Marshall Public Schools has this year for the start of the 24-25 school year. And if you look at that compared to last year, we're up about 59 students. If you look at it throughout the years, the graphic on the right will kind of show you this. Pre-COVID, we had a significant decline in our student population. That happened everywhere. We were down 355 students. When Mr. Ranke and I came here, we were still down 169, and then we've started this slow resurgence. But if you look at the red line as compared to the blue bar graphs on the right, we are up since 2020, but we're not up as significantly as it seems the last 2 years. I believe, if my recollection is right, I think we're 65 students more now in Marshall Public Schools than we were 2020. But that's really great to see us returning to what was previously a very steady enrollment. And the old social studies teacher in me nerds out to think, what will this levy and future house building and stuff do in the community? Hopefully, the more houses we build, the more people will live in them, and that we will start to grow. But we are back to pre-COVID levels, and I can't wait to never say COVID again someday. Any questions about that? Okay, I'm going to shift gears one more time, and I want to speak just a little bit about construction finances, which is timely, as we're going to start having some folks here with us from Navajo, our construction manager, and some of the guys that are leading all of that process out there. And we're getting well into the project in terms of a financial standpoint, so I want to start talking about that. No quizzes on this. I don't intend to go fast, but I'm happy to answer more questions or slow down if anybody wants to stop me on the board. But year-to-date draw, we had an intended draw schedule. In other words, here's our savings account of money to make our monthly payments on construction. This is what we think it'll cost. And year-to-date, we are $3 million under projected. I much prefer to be spending less than we thought we would be at this point than more. That's a good problem, more or less. There's some give and take to that too. But we're also on time. We're not under budget because we're behind. We're under budget because it just happens to work out that way. We had in our finances initially, and I'll recall that all of our finances for this construction project, they are with MOCAT, is where those are invested, the COPs from our levy. We locked in $10 million of that right away and put it at a 5.8% interest rate. That matures this December. And the economy is continuing to be very interesting to watch. I'm enjoying getting these updates from our finance folks that are helping us. But we went ahead and moved over $5 million more and locked it in at 4.35. That's not a great percent at this moment, but that's based on market projections that it will probably be a bit more consistent. And he said that last time, and I thought 5.8, we're doing better than that with our general funds. It's right about spot on right now. So I believe his advice has been good so far and will continue to be. We continue to think, what if there's an emergency? Things do happen in construction. Sometimes you hit water mains and things like that. Just for example, we had that happen here just recently. That didn't happen to cost us anything. But if something happens and we needed more than what was liquid, so being liquid means we have it ready to draw in any emergency at any moment. We will never have any less than $3 million liquid until the end of this project. And oftentimes it's quite a bit higher than that. In November, we will be 40% approximately complete with the financing of this project. And the deadline for arbitrage, a fun word that we've learned together through this process, where as a tax-exempt entity, if you earn too much interest, you will pay a penalty to the IRS. So we keep watching that closely, just because I'd rather keep it and spend it on projects for students in Marshall than give it away. So our goal by November is $18.8 million. We think we might miss that by $1 or $2 million, but we also think that what the interest rates are going to start doing and locking some of it in at a lower rate will help us to not have to worry about it, and that it'll be pretty insignificant. And everybody we're working with, Navajo, it's an Insight Design Studio, when we need to kick some things in gear and hit a threshold, they've worked really well with us to hit those thresholds. So far, we have paid $0 in arbitrage. And I believe last year our interest, I think this was district total, not just construction, district-wide interest rates quite high. They were around $500,000 in interest last year the district earned. So that's an unusual thing that I've never even had to think about. They didn't teach that in college about what you do with your high interest rates because it wasn't a thing when I was in college. They were low. So really pleased with where we are on all of this. I have a little more to say on that, but any questions before I keep rolling on? So this is our first full school year past the start of construction. We have our monthly bills for construction, which you're seeing in your monthly financials, but we have now begun the repayment of our loan, a different matter. So it's like we borrowed money from the bank to build a house. You've got to start paying back that loan, but you've also got that money in the bank to spend on your bills. So I'm switching from paying our monthly bills to taking care of our long-term debt as a result. You have the remaining debt from the Spainhauer project that continues until 2030, and then we have now added our new debt as a result of our new intermediate school that's being built. So we made our first payment. You'll see that next month. I don't want anybody to get excited. I'm giving you a heads up, but you'll see $1.4 million and another just under $60,000. That's payments, one to Security Bank of Kansas City, who's managing the tangible funds for the construction, and to Wood & Houston, who's handling our prior project at Spainhour. And in March, and I say estimated because there is a bit of a fluctuation. I think it was $2,500 for this month's, so it's really close, but a little fluctuation. I'm not sure why yet. I'll find out by March. But we estimate 1.3 and 59 again here locally in March for an estimated gross annual total of 2.9 million is what we are paying this year. And the tax rate you just set for Fund 4 is covering it. We budgeted and accounted for more than that, so we're very happy with where we see things are. Any question on debt service or construction monthly payments? I've been geeking out on this. I don't feel like anybody looks as excited to talk about it as I was to kind of get into it all, but.
It was strange, I almost understood it.
Good. So District Reserve, it's our third year with you here as your superintendents, and I thought, well, maybe the first time I've had a deep breath, a time or two this summer happened, and that was nice. Let's think about historical reserves, and 2020 seems to be a fantastic threshold. Because of all of the impacts to a district's reserves. In 2020, the district was at a 12%, I'm generalizing, 12% reserve. In 21, when the ESSER money, the COVID money started coming in, you had an influx of money, you went to 18% reserves. And I know a lot of projects were going on then as a result of it, so that's a good jump. In 22, 18.41%. This was Mr. Ranke and I's first year with you. And you as a Board of Education at that time set a goal of no less than 20%. And effectively the next year you achieved that minimum goal. We went to 25%, and we gave raises and steps every year of this, so I'm pleased with that. And we also, at this point, we're starting to look at our long-term economic forecasts and realize interest rates are going to drop. We were pleased to know in 23 that we'd passed the levy and that we were going to reduce our operating costs, but you might recall in 22 our long-range projections were deficit spending to 3% within 3 years if we didn't change things. So we could be having such a different conversation than what we are right now, and that's to our community and to our board that we can say thank you for that. And in 24, we've got our official numbers now as we're switching over to the new financial software. I trust them, and I believe that this is absolutely where we are at 32.9%. And when I say my personal goal, because your minimum is only 20%, but I'm looking at districts in our conference where they are and some of the struggles that one or two of them have recently had. I think that if we want to make sure we can protect our teachers' steps, no matter what economic unforeseeables come, around 40% is a lot safer, and it's about 10% lower than most of the other districts in our conference. And when you're going into lean times, I think that's a wise approach. Hannibal, with a fantastic superintendent I have a lot of respect for, she was retiring. And then some things happened that were, not her fault or anybody's fault per se, but they realized, whoa, we're not where we thought we were. Our tax collections plummeted from what was projected, and some of this recession stuff that we've been hearing is coming. It's starting to happen in our conference. I know sooner or later it will hit us. We're seeing the telltale signs of it in our economy. It's just a little slower than we thought. So they ended up with a $3.3 million deficit. They had voluntarily rolled that levy back 15 cents. This last month, they rolled it back up to its maximum allowable of 15 cents. And they're still just a little below us. And so I think that's a good case study of, we don't ever want to tax our patrons more than we have to, but sometimes if you don't worry about those rainy days, it actually pours on you and you're not prepared. And that's where they kind of found themselves. Their superintendent chose not to retire and is leading them through that, and they're going to get through it with her leadership, I have no doubt. And you see where we compare to the others in our conference. I could not get Kirksville. I think they maybe haven't had it yet, or they just didn't get it posted just yet. But I don't know Kirksville's because it wasn't online. But we're second from the lowest, or you could say third from the highest, for where we are compared to Mexico and Fulton. Just so if you have questions when you go out there in the community or wonder where Marshall is compared to the rest of the conference, we're 99 cents better than we used to be. And so that's my report. If there's no questions, I will stop talking. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. And for those of you worried about traffic patterns, there are some traffic patterns that have been thought about as we build the new school and looking at how we're going to move that traffic around with 1,000 people on campus if you're concerned about the traffic now. So we'll hopefully see how that goes next year.
Yes.
Mr. Rinky, who is choosing to stand.
No comment.
I'm not too tall for the podium.
I thought that.
Yeah, I knew, I just figured I'd get it out of the way, so. Okay, so tonight, I just want to recap everything. A lot of this information I've been talking about the last couple months. We had a really great summer. It was a busy summer. Just kind of want to tidy this up for the board and show the community what we have gotten wrapped up. First of all, I want to thank, we had a lot of great people in the district this summer. Our maintenance crew, our custodian crew, we had a great paint crew that we brought in, had a trimming crew that came in and helped us out. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, but and then also along with Nabholz, which is going to present on our new construction here in a little bit. I won't take any thunder from them. Inside Design and Navitas did an excellent job. So I can't be any more pleased than what we got done this summer. It was fast and furious. There was a lot of stuff going on. There was weeks that I was like feeling really good, and then next week I was like, oh my gosh, we're not going to get school started on time. And then the next week I'd be like, oh no, we're good. And then so it kind of ebbed and flowed, but everything stayed on schedule, and we did pretty well. So I just want to kind of review some of our summer capital projects, not only our Navitas stuff, but just kind of what I presented last spring for the board. And then I just want to show we got a live link and some things on our district website I wanted to make the community aware of. So this is, it probably should look familiar. Brought this to the board. This is our capital projects. I don't know, it was last spring sometime that you guys approved this. If you can see over here on the right hand column, we got several of these things checked off this summer for this year already, so that was great. We can show some pictures. Basically what we're looking at coming up and starting to focus on probably this fall and into next spring is a lot of concrete work. I've talked about that before. It is expensive, but there is so much concrete throughout the district that we need to update, not only just for functionality, but for safety also. So that's one thing we're really going to start focusing on. We do have a great maintenance crew put together. I think we can do a lot of this concrete in-house. So it'll be good. What else do I have here? So concrete, playground we'll be working on this fall. Probably be bringing bids in the next few months, moving some of this playground equipment here at Butterfield Early Childhood Center into probably over to Spainhauer, and then adding some more age-appropriate equipment for our early childhood. So we'll be working on that. The window film, we're working on our safety and security window film. And then some of the lighting that was brought up throughout some of our district surveys over at Beaker Crosswalk. We're working on that. We're actually talks with the city to help us out on that on some of the roads, and then putting up some lighting in the back of Spainhauer. So a lot of work going on, a lot of great things. So just some pictures. This was a slideshow that was put together throughout some of our different buildings. There was a lot of behind the scenes work that happened, but this is kind of some of the finished products. We put some new walls in Spainhauer, all the new ceiling grids, the HVAC, new lighting throughout Spainhauer. We actually got in, did a lot of painting in Spainhauer this summer. So that building is looking pretty good. We still have a few electrical things to finish up with building the new walls, and then throughout actually all of our projects, we're still trying to balance that HVAC, to get that all tied into one central thing to where we can control that. The high school, a lot of work went on in the foyer, in the athletic part. Most of the green carpet is gone now. Actually, I think all the green carpet's gone now. I forgot one little room that I didn't know that was in back by the theater, but we're getting that taken care of. But wood plank has been put in. So now throughout the whole high school with the other project and then into this project has new tile, new LED lighting. The gym looks awesome. They redid the floor. Of course, they do the waxing every summer, but it looks really great. And then we took on the project of the practice football field. We got that regraded out over the summer, and then we're working on getting that smoothed out and then hydro seed that actually probably this week and then into the fall, so that can be ready hopefully for next spring, and do some overseeding on that. So yeah, a lot of great things. Actually in the high school it's kind of neat when they tore down the ceiling. All the stuff they found up on the ceiling, like pop cans from 1980, and there was a few love notes I got to read. Don't know who the people were, but it was kind of neat. So a lot of things, a lot of neat things. In the Career Center, our HVAC project, that's all going. They're still working on the boilers. The actual air conditioning is all working. They have to hard start the boilers to be able to balance that out. So it's been pretty chilly in the Career Center, but it's 1,000 degrees outside, so it's been, you know, they're happy. Got a lot of painting done, redid the parking lot, and then of course the Career Center got all new ceiling tiles and lights, and then did a lot of painting in the egg building and the egg parts. So it's looking pretty good. Of course, I hope everybody noticed one of the trailer got taken out at Beaker. So got that pretty well cleaned up. We have to fill in some of the holes that were in there, but we'll get that taken care of. And then we still need to rearrange a few fences, but I think it looks a lot better with the trailer gone. So
There are no broken concrete blocks out there either, if anybody's concerned by his picture.
yes, this was before we got it cleaned up.
Yeah.
It's nice and smoothish out there.
The auditorium, got Beaker, the auditorium, the lights all looking good. It actually is it really looks nice if you haven't been in there and seen it lit up. It's like it should be. And then also throughout Beaker, we're still working on some of the HVAC, but we're trying to get that all lined up. Let's see. Oop, there it goes. Oop.
You gotta point it west.
The bathrooms, I don't know if you've been in the high school, these are the bathrooms right off the commons. We redid those, we put new stalls in, painted it. Of course, got ceiling tile, put sinks. Our maintenance department did this. They did a fantastic job. It turned out really nice, and I think it was a nice addition or an upgrade for our high school. These were some of the painting projects I brought to you last spring, along with our capital improvement projects. As you can see, pretty much our crew, and a couple were contracted out, but we got all those projects done. The only one we didn't do is the shops that we had scheduled in the egg building. We were going to do the shops, but we kind of reverted with some of the construction going, and then we came over and we did some of the offices over in the social work wing, and so we just kind of switched. But we'll come back next summer and then hit those shops in the egg building. So, and then we have the Beaker cooler. That was the old one. That one is gone. And then here's the new one we got installed, and that's up and working. So that was a summer project that was in dire need. Our maintenance crew poured that concrete, poured the ramp, and it turned out really well. Does anybody have any questions on like our summer work? That's kind of it in a nutshell. There was probably a lot more that happened. It went really well. I'm happy and pleased. So I think we had a lot of great people doing a lot of great things for the district. So this is the last thing I kind of wanted to bring to the community and tell the board. So on our district website, there is a link. If you go to the first home page, it says building projects, and you click on that. Not this one, Wesley, go back. That's all right, we'll start this one. So if you go to that, there is a link to a live stream for our building projects, and there is also an update of all the projects that are going on in the district. But if you click on this, as Wesley did, you can see our live link, so you can kind of see all the progress that's going on at the building. You know, from wherever you're at in the computer, if you want to keep track on how it's going. So that being said, I'm going to invite Mitchell and Glenn up from Nabholz and start their presentation on how our new build is going.
Is he going to ours?
Yep.
Okay.
See that segue? That's pretty good.
Well, that stole some of the thunder. But. All right, thank you for having us again.
really, just a reminder, I'm Mitchell Femler with Nabholz Construction. I'm kind of the lead general manager, run our Columbia office, and carry this project through start to completion. And I brought Glenn Holman, he's one of our lead project managers for the project. Mr. Pettit already went through some of the financial update. We're willing to come each month, however often you'd like for updates. Some of the savings you saw was we didn't encounter some of the tunnels within the site, so overall financially, the project's really gone very well, very smooth. A lot of great bids like we went through at the GMP phase, but that has continued as we've gone through construction. Work on site remains on schedule as well. So can't thank everybody enough that's already working on the site, even hot weeks like this week. We put together a quick little presentation. You saw the time lapse that you have access to through the district site. We also have a 360 camera that our team takes through the building, and you can compare it to our 3D design model. So if we can, we'll share that link as well, especially as you see those exterior walls close in, you're gonna lose visibility to the inside. So, and then really as a board, or even some people in the community, we can facilitate tours as the site gets more safe and accessible there. And this is a view, kind of our 360 camera, where you can see the design compared to progress on site at any point in time. So pretty neat technology we've got out there that feel free to share out publicly and keep people engaged. And I already stole two of Glenn's talking points, so I'll let him take over.
That's okay. You do such a good job.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
So what's unique about this? This is a live interactive experience. And on the left side, we have someone that goes around and they have this 360 camera on the top of their head, and they go through the whole site. And of course, until we had walls up, we were just imagining where those things were, and now we're getting some of those things in place. We're able to see that we're actually in a room, but we've got this so on the right-hand side that syncs up with the view from the camera. So if our camera view is here, this is the three-dimensional view that's available to us that syncs up to that, and you can rotate your view here, and it will rotate the view here. So they're synced up together, so you're seeing what it's going to look like and what it looks like right now. So that's really kind of cool for us to be able to share that with you.
Can you remind us where a person would go to see that? Is it on?
Oh, there you are.
Is it on the?
This part we'll have to.
Yeah, we're going to get you a link.
Oh, we don't have it yet. Okay.
We're just getting
Got
there.
it.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
looking down.
this one takes a little bit more to get into, but it's definitely something you'll want to explore.
I just drive by, yes.
I'm just guessing, there we go. And this is a view that the architects have created for that specific space that we were just looking at. So it kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of what this is going to look like when we're finished. And this is just another location. This is outside the main entry. Shows you on the left what it looks like today, and then what the plan is supposed to be. And then we've got our construction schedule. I just wanted to share that with you to show you that we are moving along. We've had a few disruptions, but we've made adjustments to that, and we're still on track to finish up in plenty of time. So wanted to go through a little bit of what our progress has been. Some of you, I'm sure, have been by the site at least once or twice, right? And you've seen some of these things taking place. So we've gone through and we've done our grading and our soil stabilization and concrete footings. We put in our underground plumbing and electrical, rough underground items. We've got our elevator pit and shaft in place. We've got the slab on deck poured in the area A, which is the main building. So that second floor. And we've installed a few of the precast panels. Only the short ones so far. We have had a delay with our crane getting here. The state has
has kept it on another job that, the crane that we need to use to stack those panels with, so, and we're fighting against the state in order to get things here on time. So we're doing our best, and we're moving along quite well. These are some of the things that are scheduled to take place here shortly. And then this kind of gives you just an idea, some views of some of the things that have taken place. This is the deck on that second floor before we put the concrete on. This is some of our underground electrical. This is our elevator pit at one time, and just some of our other excavation. Gives you some ideas of what things looked like at one time. This is the building pad before there was anything on it. And you can see we're starting to put some framing in on the walls. We've got some ductwork up on the second floor now. So things are moving along quite well. And then this just gives you an idea. This is before we placed the concrete, and then this is after the concrete was placed. And there's a picture of some of the precast that's been installed. And we appreciate the opportunity to serve your community. It's, for me, it's been a joy to get to know some of the people in the community, and I've been invited in and feel like I'm really a part of this, even though I only get to visit periodically. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you. I think the only question we have is how quick we'll get that link so other people can see it. So, but that will be something that will be attached to the district website upcoming, so just keep your eyes on it. But of course, give us a few days until we can link up and do that kind of action. So.
Wesley, at some point while we're streaming tonight, is it possible to show the folks here and the public watching online where the link is on the district website too?
Let me see if I can find it.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Was that in your presentation? Just go to the homepage. Okay. The district homepage.
And it is
Thank you,
also
Glenn.
in his
Safe
presentation,
travels,
I think, too. Thank you, guys. While he's playing with that, I'll say that it's been really good to work with them, and we've had a wet year, and they have stayed really close to on schedule. This crane is unfortunate, but it's been
What's the
awesome.
holdup with it?
Just that the state's not, the state's gonna finish their job, and we're gonna wait.
Yeah, but, I mean, they had the first crane in, and they
Yeah.
just were able to switch
Yeah.
on some of the projects that they were working on, so, yeah.
But
it'll
they're
be
still,
good.
they're still pretty much on track.
They had a large crane here to do the steel work, but they need a different crane.
A bigger
Yeah.
one. And,
And as he said, we're tied up behind the true government as a city municipality, so we're having to wait our turn.
There you go.
there we are.
So that's, yeah, if you go to the main page and then click on the building projects link, it'll bring up this page and the live view of the Northeast Campus build. You just click on that, you'll be able to get to that live feed.
Awesome, thank you.
Moving down to old business, the board met, gosh, now was that June?
June.
I believe was, the board met in June. I was gone to the MSBA Summer Summit at that time, and Matt was unable to attend. And Mr. Shepherd, and of course the other board members met with Dr. Henson and went over some of our long-range planning and forecasting and looking to the future. So I'm going to let Mr. Shepherd give us a recap of that as he headed that meeting.
Okay, so first we amended the agenda to allow for the purchase of a van. We had 3 bids for it. We took the lowest one at $27,500, and Mr. Pettit flew to Arizona and drove it back for us for an expense of about $600 to the district. With Insight Design, we determined that the future maintenance building and shipping and receiving complex of the Northeast Campus to be the #1 priority in our long-range facility plan. Currently, both those buildings are missing a wall, and it was decided that the buildings needed to be completed as soon as possible for safety and security, as well as not to have an eyesore next to our nice new building. Next, On the list was access to the campus from Highway 240. Knowing that working with the state will take some time, we determined we should get started on that sooner rather than later. A perimeter fence and selling off what we don't need on the south side of the campus behind SPS was also on the list. From that discussion was a phase 2 kind of priority, which included HVAC at the high school, as well as major parking lot goals for resurfacing and expanding the current parking lots in a few locations to create better traffic flow, as well as more parking during multiple events. I think Mr. Ranke said that we will maybe get started on those next year in his presentation. And then the final phase of priority was the work on our facility walk-in clinic goals, an athletic complex for turf at the high school, and a middle school track and field at the Spainhauer or Northeast campus. Aaron with Insight says that he should have the document ready for board approval. He was supposed to be here this evening, so he had a conflict with a scheduling conflict, so he'll be here next month to present that. We also discussed that we don't need the old Hoot House, and after construction is complete, no one felt like we needed to keep it, noting that renting it could be more problematic than it is worth. We will explore having Nabholz tear it down and might easily make that sooner rather than later approach unless anything changes. I don't know if anybody's approached that with Nabholz yet or not, so we may have an update on that soon. EGL and Dr. Henson, we looked at the state's expectations of our CSIP and compared it to our current CSIP. Ours is or was aligned very well with what the state is expecting. We then reviewed our current CSIP and discussed ways to consolidate and refocus our goals for the next 5 years. Dr. Henson will take BOE input and have 3 visits in Marshall over 2 days. He will visit with each building level, elementary, middle school, high school, for staff discussions. There will also be a brief work session with district admin. He will do surveys of students and the community and will hold a community stakeholder meeting one evening. With all this input and data, he will compile a revised CSIP proposal that should come to the board somewhere around December with a goal for approval after the first of the year, some January, February timeframe. The new CSIP will take effect 1 year from this July and will carry the district for 5 years. And we adjourned after that.
It was a full day.
It was a full day, but it was a productive and good day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we looked at a lot of things way down the road. And I was impressed with some of the things that we were considering. So.
Mr. Hardy did send Mr. Ranke a copy of that report, and since our next board meeting is in just 2 weeks, he's confirmed with Mr. Ranke that he'll make it and present that to you guys for approval.
Yep. So he's got it pretty well wrapped up.
Great.
It looks good, so he'll present it.
I'd like to thank you all for the work that you did while I was absent. It sounded like you all had a great day. I checked in with Mr. Pettit a couple times throughout the day, and Dr. Henson helped us with our first governance plan, and it's great to have people who are well-versed
Oh, were you not
in
there?
the requirements as well.
Oh, were you not there?
That's why it went so smooth.
That's why you all were able to do it in 1 day instead of 2. No. Our new board members, I understand, had a lot of input, and it's great because you're going to be the ones that are going to be here going on as well, and going to be seeing some of those priorities and projects through. So thank you all.
Take over for us old guys.
Is there anything anybody else wants to add to that or their experience from the day?
Just did.
Besides Mr. Carroll. Thank you, Mr. Shepherd, for that recap, and I'll move on then. Going down to new business, we have this kind of lumped together into a kind of large motion, so I'm going to kind of run through a few of these. There were some MSBA policy updates. There was nothing major in those, and those were in your packets, of course, to review. The new accounting manual, which you all have a copy of as well. It was in your packet as well and next to you as well to keep in reference to. Next, we were looking to the approval of the purchase of a district truck. There were 3 different bids. There was a 2011 Ford that was right at $14,000 with 210,000 miles on it. There was a 2012 Ford with for $16,250 with right at 96,000 miles on it. And there was a 2015 Ford at $31,999 with 31,400 miles. The recommendation is that we look to purchase the 2012 Ford for $16,250 with under 100,000 miles on it for district use, and repurpose some of our current trucks to other lives of their own, and then looking at this one probably to be in service for a couple of years, and then probably take another role within the district as well itself.
So we're recommended, it was recommended to 2012 with 96.
Yes, sir. Also, the next one was to look at purchasing a district skid loader. There is a skid loader, of course, in the district that is tied to the Career Center that we cannot use for access around the district and other areas. So because it was purchased through grant money and scope, but there is a need for us to be able to have some equipment in that area. We received 3 bids back on that. One was a Bobcat machine for $64,211. There was a Kubota from Marshall Service. It came in at $74,700, and there was some other implements, of course, of both of these machines. And then there was a machine from Foley that was at $65,000 even. The implements would be $9,990. Mr. Rinke informed me that that was the machine that he was recommending us to purchase. That was also the only machine that came with doors and closures and had AC and heating involved with it as well. With our Missouri weather, having an enclosed cab on that and being able to temperature control that somewhat for someone driving in that, especially while we're at 96-degree temperatures and things, is something that they felt was very necessary, and I agree as well. And so the recommendation was to purchase that machine for $65,000 plus almost $10,000 worth of implements. And also we have the option to do some other rentals and things for other pieces of that machinery we may want to use for short periods of time as well. So, and the last thing was to approve and declare the district surplus, which was listed for you in your packet as well. Does anyone have any questions or any discussion about any of those items? Yes, sir.
On the accounting manual, was it just me? I just got that tonight. I mean, I had a chance to read it. Did everybody else have it previous to this tonight?
It was in the electronic packet, so that may have been
To me,
it.
it wasn't in an electronic packet.
Okay. I was gonna say, it was in our,
This is Brad's responsibility, I understand that. He's read it, and you're very comfortable with it, and you didn't find anything. It's just hard for me to vote on it without having the opportunity to read this. That's my comment. Brad has read it, and he's comfortable with it.
And I will say, Jack, that this undeniably kind of rushed because of our new software. We were training and writing this manual simultaneously so we could use it as a training tool. We did ask the auditors to preview it, but we 100% think we will have this will be kind of a living document that we revise a lot this year. But we wanted to ask for your approval so quickly because we want to start using these procedures in the way that we conduct ourselves with the new software before the next audit. So it was rushed, no question, but it'll be coming back to you a lot earlier next year.
Did the auditors look at it?
They did look at it, yes. And the last piece of the training to write it was completed last week. So I mean, it's really been right up to the minute. We've been building it as we've been training and onboarding.
Okay, thank you.
the
I'll move to
surplus.
accept the new business.
All right. I won't even go over the surplus list, and Mr. Pettit had brought it up for me, so he does estimate that our surplus auction will come close to paying for the purchase of the 2012 truck, so as well, so.
I move to accept.
I was going to say, Mr. Carroll moved, and are you seconding? Yeah. Mr. Smith? All right. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor of approving the new business as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Any Against approval of the new business? And any abstaining? Moving along, does anyone have anything else to add before I entertain a motion to move to closed session? Mr. Pettit?
Just want to say, so the public knows, with this surplus auction that we are preparing, this is going to be done slightly differently. We'll put it on display at the Career Center again, but it'll all be exclusively done on Gov deals because school is in session. We just don't have time. So we will put advertisements in the windows of the vehicles. They'll be at the Career Center for 1 week, and they'll be here at Butterfield after that until the online auction concludes. But we have things like a 3-point tractor sprayer, a trencher machine, a dump truck from 1982, that's my Circa, Chrysler 300 with 300,000 miles on it, and a green maintenance truck that just got upgraded. Again, all of that on govdeals.com is where it'll be sold.
If there is no other business, I'll entertain a motion to move to closed session.
I'll make a motion during the closed session.
Give me a second.
It's been moved by Mr. Smith and seconded by Mrs. Green. Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Ms. Staley.
Aye.
Ms. Green.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd. Mr. Lenz. Thank you all.